Hey, Mason here. With my day 1 update, I have completed the campaign, level 66 Invoker. My slash played is 16 hours, and I will just show you the maps. So these have all been completed. The interlude, so Act 4 all completed, all 3 interludes completed, and I've unlocked the Atlas. So I just unlocked and did my first map. I just wanted to give a guide on how you actually level. On Hollow Palm, you can see I'm not running any weapon, and that's because I'm playing Hollow Palm. You can see right here, Hollow Palm. And I thought I would give a guide on how to level because I have not seen anything online about people who finish the campaign, and then they can show you how to level with this. So for context, I swapped at like level 24, I think it was, and then I just played Hollow Palm the entire way. So I did not bother with quarterstaffs. I did not use the quarterstaff at all, and I just focused on gearing the rest of my pieces. For the skills I'm playing, this is what I recommend. I'll just show you. I have a 4-link for my main damage skill. You can see Tempest Bell, 4-link, Herald, Charge Staff, Combat Frenzy, Mantra, Shattering Palm, and Frost Bomb and Frozen Locus. All of these are 4 links, so it should be relatively easy and relatively cheap to gear. I have 5-link, so sorry, not like I have like 5 links, 5 gem sockets, an upgrade, and I have the lessers, but I have not spent these because I wanted to try and do this campaign without kind of overgearing it with just links or lucky drops or expensive gear. My gear, this helmet, I got this a bit later, but it's just life and evasion ES, and there's like a little bit of res, and that's really it. This chest piece is evasion and ES, and like a tiny bit of life, and the rest of the lines are all bad. This amulet was from one of the guaranteed amulets in the campaign. There'll be spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to watch spoilers, I recommend you just check out these skills, which actually I'll go through that now quickly. But I'll show you my gear first, and I'll show my skills, and then I'll actually show you where you get the stuff in the campaign. So this was it's a guaranteed amulet. It's just life and res and attributes, and that's really it. This thing here is just flat lightning and leech. The physical leech does mana. This thing here is just flat lightning and res. This one I showed before. This is so the amulet and the glove slots are the most important for getting your damage because you can get melee skill gems. And Hollow Palm, it says that physical damage based on skill level. So it's very important to get a higher skill level. Otherwise, your damage will suffer pretty badly. This one I bought from the Gamba guy, and then I regaled it into +2 melee, so I got very lucky. But it's also got leech, which is very nice to have, and is a decent ES roll of 100. It's like not the best, but it's like decent enough. This belt I picked up off the floor. It's just life and res, 1 res, and it's a utility belt with 2 charm slots. So I have a stun charm, a freeze charm, and just a random extra charm that I had with some guard on it. The charm's probably useless. You don't need 3, you can go 2. These boots were from I think it was a Rogue Exile. It came with like movement speed and like the life, and then I just regal and triple exalted it. Again, I'll just preface that all my gear is SSF, basically SSF. I'm playing on trade, but I have not traded for any gear. And so that's kind of what I wanted to maintain through this campaign. Like if you have to trade to complete the campaign, then your build needs some work, right? So you should not need to trade, or you should not need to buy expensive gear if you just learn how to pick up stuff on the ground and eyeball it and craft. So this was really lucky. Movement speed, double res, and like ES is like 60. Could be it's like way better, but it's like whatever. In the offhand, I have like a scepter for spirit and skeleton warriors, and a random focus. This will be in prep for eventually when I swap to flicker, just the scepter, but it literally does not matter what you have in your offhand. Flasks, just upgrade your flasks as you go. Okay, the skills itself, I'll just show you my character sheet. So you can see that level 66, these are my stats. Life is 1.3, energy shield is 500, 500, 100. So standard stuff, evasion is 1000 evasion. I think it says, yeah, 1000. Reses are not capped. And I think movement speed is 22%, and when I'm sprinting, it's like 69%. So very good move speed when you're running around doing maps. Sprint is really good. My first impressions is sprint is extremely amazing. Or the Act 4 is absolutely an amazing experience, very fun. Interludes are much more nicer than cruel. The bosses are pretty obviously reskinned. But they do have some new like elements attached to their attacks, and they have new models and stuff. So there are a few new bosses here too that I didn't recognize, but some of them I did recognize as being like copies of older bosses that we fought. Okay, so skills. So, oh, let me just take this out. Okay, so I'll start with icestrike. This is your main damage skill. The reason why is because it's got very good effectiveness and it freezes, and it's generally a good mapping and a good damage skill. Mainly the freeze is really good for keeping you safe. So I have rapid attacks 2. You start with rapid attacks 1. I have elemental armament or primal armament 2, and you want to start with 1. And I have close combat 1. And I think you want to eventually use close combat 5 or something. Close combat, the maxed 1, close combat 3. So let's see if I can actually do this. I think it's a... Okay, yeah, it's the level 5 one, which I don't have any left. I think I did grab one earlier. But yeah, eventually that will be close combat 2. You can see that my crit is 24%. That's because I have a decent chunk of ES. I have like 500. I think I have like 89 here, 130 here, 99 here, 62 here. So my crit is like 22%, but it's basically not really that much. Okay, I think that more or less covers this. Oh, and my icestrike is quality, so I just put quality on it for the more attack speed. So just keep that in mind. Quality gives it more attack speed and just 10%. Next is Tempest Bell. So this will be your main damaging boss skill. I currently have my Tempest Bell. So no quality, level 14, same as my icestrike. Just keep these leveled up, basically. All the gems. I have Life Leech. This is level 3 Life Leech. It comes with the extra new line. Life Leech by supported skills is not remove that full life. But you could just use Life Leech 1, which I used for basically most of the campaign. I have Rage 2. Use Rage 1, upgrade to Rage 2. I think Rage 3 is not as good. Rage 3 is good, but you don't need it. Heavy Swing is a level 4 support gem, so you need like level 4 types to actually get this. But what you can use is you can use Primal Armament, or I think there's one here that I used before. So this is the one I used, Elemental Armament on it before. You can also use Overabundance, no, probably not Overabundance, Mana Leech. Mana Leech and Life Leech are probably the two main ones that I had. So I had Mana Leech, I had Life Leech, and then I had Rage. So those 3. And then eventually when you get Heavy Swing, put Heavy Swing in. Otherwise you can fit in Mana Leech because it helps a bit until you get more into your tree, which I'll go over in a second. Herald of Ice. My Herald of Ice is level 14. Elemental Armament, Overreach, Execute. Seems to be pretty decent. It's pretty good for clearing packs. Just Herald of Ice stuff. The next one is Charge Staff. Charge Staff is used with Innovate. The uptime on Innovate is not very good. I'm not really sure how you can make this better. But this is probably something that will come with more supports. Especially stuff like Coursing Current, which makes it so that shocks spread to all nearby enemies. Have a chance to. And with this, with the shock support, it basically guarantees to shock. And then this is just to make it so I don't have to press the button as often. Okay, so the next one is how do we generate charges for charge stuff, like power charges. We use Combat Frenzy, which is whenever you freeze. In this case, because we're using ice attacks, right? Like Herald of Ice and Icestrike and whatever, we freeze. It gives us a Frenzy charge, with Charge Profusion to give us an extra one occasionally. And then we consume those with Charge Staff alongside with Resonance on the tree, which turns all the Frenzy charges into power charges. So it says gain power charges instead of Frenzy charges. So that's how we get our Charge Staff, what do you call them? Power charges. The next one is Mantra of Destruction. So this one, the way this one works is when you hit mobs, it builds combo, and when you have 8 combo, you can click it and it buffs your next skill. And you use it with prolonged duration. It doesn't really matter what you support it with, but I just put it in there because it just fit in. I don't really think it does anything, because it says buff duration is up to 8 seconds or until your next attack. So that's like basically kind of useless, if that makes sense. You don't need this in. But the idea behind this thing is that I've just turned off my icestrike. The idea behind this is that you use it to buff your bell. So you press Mantra and then you press Bell, and Bell will gain the extra damage, and Bell will also gain the effect that says purple flames. Sorry, it says each kill with empowered attacks grants purple flames of Chayula, which give you extra damage as chaos. do I? Okay, yeah. Stacking buff that gets 7% extra damage as chaos. And whenever you kill, like you put your bow down, you kill stuff with it, it grants the extra chaos damage, which is nice. That's why you press mantra and then you press bell, once mantra and bell are both full on combo. And also helps against bosses. You just mantra bell and then you hit the boss with icestrike, and then you mantra bell and you hit the boss with the icestrike, and you repeat that process. The last one is your primary clear and mobility. So Sarge 2 used this skill as a single target DPS skill for a while, but this is actually really strong for clearing as well. So the idea behind this is you hit an enemy, it will coat all nearby enemies with ice, and then when you kill one of them, they will like chain explode. And I'm using momentum for more damage. I'm using overreach to make the AoE bigger, and I'm using cold pen for more damage on it. I'm not sure if momentum and cold pen are really that good, because you're not actually killing anything with this. You're using icestrike to kill the targets that have this debuff spread onto them. But you can experiment there. Overreach is really good because it says it can't be evaded, and overreach makes the AoE huge. Very, very nice. Okay, this is your next boss debuffing skill. You can use a curse as well, but I just didn't bother. I just didn't want to press too many buttons. It's just me being lazy. But this one applies elemental exposure and 2% exposure per pulse up to 50%. And it pulses once every, what does it say? Doesn't actually say how often it pulses, but it pulses a decent amount. So basically it's just elemental exposure, reduces the enemy res, and I use it with this to increase the res reduction, the exposure, and then I use it with this so I can press it a bit more often because the cooldown's a bit long. If you don't have the support gem for this, it's not a priority, just use the lower level one. And you just press it on the boss whenever you go before your combo, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the later part when I show some clips. Finally, your last skill is Frozen Locus. Frozen Locus seems to do quite a decent chunk of damage. I was recommended by a friend to try it, and I mainly use it for my Ice Bite generation because for some reason, Shattering Palm is not very good for Ice Bite generation because the actual palm attack doesn't freeze. Like, it's very hard to get it to do enough damage to freeze. It's not doing enough damage, and I don't want to put Ice Bite onto my main skill, my Ice Strike, because I want this to have the most damage for a single target, and Ice Bite only works really in clearing situations. That's why it's on Frozen Locus. Crystalline Shards makes it so that Frozen Locus can impale. It's just like a single target. It helps a little bit with single target, but it's not really like that big of a deal. It's again mainly for Ice Bite, and Cold Attunement is just a bit more damage on the Frozen Locus. So in case you haven't played, Frozen Locus backflips you like this, and you can use your Ice Strike on it, and you'll like break it, and then it'll like pop like Herald of Ice and Shattering Palm and stuff. So normally what I do is I will use my palm attack, my Shattering Palm, to blink in, and then I will backflip immediately on the mob, and then I'll just Ice Strike, and then on my third hit, it will kill. Normally it will hit the so I'll be like 1, 2, and then this roundhouse kick. Last hit of Ice Strike will hit the Frozen Locus and the mob, and then it will just like pop a big explosion from Herald of Ice. Okay, that's the skills. I'm going to show the gear quickly. Oh no, I think I already showed the gear. So I'll talk about the skill tree now. So the thing with Monk. Okay, so I'll start with why Invoker. So the main thing with Invoker is I wanted to play a very budget-friendly setup. Because 1, you're playing Hollow Palm, you don't need a weapon. And 2, you're playing Invoker, so you don't need Spirit, because eventually you'll grab this node here once you get a good enough chess piece. So this node here is very good because it gives you Spirit based on ES and evasion on your body armor, and then this node here gives you damage, like the Hollow Palm gives you damage based on evasion and ES on your gear. So it's like double dipping. Not really, because it's not really like doubling your damage or whatever, but it's like you're kind of making the most out of your gear by clicking both of these nodes. Furthermore, you're also clicking this node here, which gives you ES based on evasion in your body armor, and eventually you'll click this node here, which gives you ES based on energy shield on your helmet. So you're kind of like trying to get the most value out of your gear, especially since you're not using a weapon. So it just makes it very efficient in terms of damage, defensive scaling and damage scaling. That's why Invoker. Another reason why Invoker over, for example, Triula or Deadeye or Amazon or whatever, is because Invoker has very easy access to the 2 ailments, Shock and Freeze. The thing with Hollow Palm, right, it says it gives you physical damage based on your skill level. So it gives you flat damage. The other type in the damage formula that you need to get is increased damage. And normally people get that on the skill tree. And there are some decent nodes. For example, these nodes here give you a little bit of increased damage. These nodes here give you increased damage. But there's this wheel up here that's very effective. This is 30% if you've chilled recently, and 30% if you've shocked recently. And there's like 30% just from the small nodes. So over here, these 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, are 90% increased elemental damage. And normally you can't really have good uptime on this because you can't shock or chill unless you have a setup with like dual damage. But Invoker makes this very, very easy through, so for example, I'm doing ice damage with my skill, cold damage, sorry. So I will chill or freeze, which means I will get this bonus here very easily. And then on Invoker, I'm clicking this node here, which gives me 10% damage as extra lightning. And then when I shock an enemy, there's a chance to create shocked ground. And remember that I have 100% shock on my charge staff right here. So it's a very high chance that when this shocks, 25% chance for the one shock to have shocked ground, which means all the mobs will be shocked, which means I will proc also this shocked recently effect to get the 30% increased damage here. Okay, so sorry, I was going to turn on my eye tracker and I just left it on. I just OBS forgot. Anyways, it should be off now, so it shouldn't be as bad and a bit confusing. Okay, so that's why I'm going Invoker with these two. And then there's two options you can do for your Ascendancy. One is you can take Unbound Avatar. Unbound Avatar gives you a 40% more damage steroid that you can press in DPS phases when the boss is frozen to try and like burst them down. I can show some clips of this later and talk through that. But eventually I decided to go with I'm the Blizzard because a lot of the bosses are new, so I would die on the first or second attempt. And so I'm the Blizzard is more reliable because your Unbound Avatar, like the charges, go away and you have to rebuild them. And generally you can't get them on a boss fast enough. So that's why I decided to go with these two like elemental nodes instead of this node right here. But if you are very familiar with the bosses and you're confident you can do them, like you can get your Unbound Avatar charged up in the map before and then do the boss and not die and then use it to one-shot the boss, then you want to click Unbound Avatar. So for example, for the first 3 acts, I used Unbound Avatar. So once I got it in Act 3, I used it to kill Doriani and stuff. And I used it into Act 4. I only swapped off recently. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the skill tree. The way you want to path on this skill tree, you start out going through here. It's very standard monk stuff. You go through here, you go through here. What I did is I started with just a regular quarterstaff I found. I clicked some of these damage nodes here. But I would recommend that you just path like this, go through flow slate, go through this jewel, or you can go through this kind of area here, up to you, and just go straight for Hollow Palm. Hollow Palm has really decent scaling in the early game. It's actually around the same as like I would say it's like probably a little bit below average, like average to a little bit below quarterstaff. But generally it is better than any quarterstaff that you can get. Like unless you get like some crazy luck with like what I had. I think I had like a Fizz and a +3 melee skill gems quarterstaff. That was doing more damage than Hollow Palm, but also consuming more mana than Hollow Palm because the +3 melee skill gems. But Hollow Palm is just, it's just so easy to set up. So just go grab this right away. Once you grab it, so for example, your tree will go through flow slate. It'll just be like a straight line to Hollow Palm. Sorry, I can't show POB, sorry, because it's not updated. What you want to do is you want to focus on stuff like increased attack damage. So as soon as you grab Hollow Palm, I recommend you grab this wheel right here, these 4 points. I recommend you grab this kind of 4 points here. This will give you some attack speed, some attack damage to kind of get started. Grab these, and then grab these 2 right here as well, the shock. So you can grab these once you grab the Ascendancy right here, or you can grab them earlier, it's up to you, perfect personal preference, and grab these attack damage nodes here. So your tree should look like, you should have this cluster here, Hollow Palm, this cluster here, and maybe some of the stuff at the beginning. You can use the life if you want. And you could also optionally grab this attack speed cluster here if you have very bad gear. So when you first start on Hollow Palm, you want to focus on pure evasion chest pieces. Let me see if I can find one that I had. Something like this. 400, just pure evasion, no ES, and whatever other lines on it. You want pure evasion chest pieces because that gives you the attack speed from Hollow Palm, which is it's easier to use for the early game until you get to around to Act 4. So that's what you're going to focus on. You're going to focus on getting as much evasion and energy shield. Obviously, you can't be picky, right? Because it's campaign. So you try to get as much evasion energy shield on your gear as possible. And you want to focus evasion chest piece mostly to get the attack speed because you can't really scale the crit because you don't have enough points in the skill tree. Okay, so once that's done, once you get your first Ascendancy, right? You want to click I am the Thunder, these 2 points right here, and then that will allow you to slowly branch up to grab these 4 nodes here, which are very, very strong, and also grab these 2 here, these 2 nodes here to help the shock. And I also recommend grabbing these 2 life nodes here just to make sure you can actually sustain when you kill stuff, because it can be a little bit rippy, especially Abyss. And then once you get Charge Staff, which I forgot what level it was, but I'll just click on one of my skill gems. Maybe you can tell me. It's over here, level 9 skill gem. So for context, you're leveling with Glacial, Cascade, and Frozen Locus. And then you're grabbing Tempest Spell, and then eventually you'll get icestrike near the end of Act 1. As soon as you grab icestrike, keep Locus, use icestrike, use Tempest Spell, those 3. And then you don't care about anything in this row, but you want to grab Charge Staff. As soon as you can grab Charge Staff, also grab Mantra for your bell. And when you get Charge Staff, you want to path up to Resonance, so these 2 points here and Resonance, to grab the flip. And around that time, the charge swap. And then around that time, you'll also get the Spirit, the 60 Spirit, the extra 30 Spirit available for you from Act 3. This will allow you to sustain your Charge Staff, which would then allow you to just get a bit more extra damage, and you can put these Innovate, Shock, and Prolonged Duration on it to help with having a shock stuff. And then, after you've done that, depending on your chess piece, so I went for this node because my chess piece was a pure evasion chess piece. You can skip this out, it's up to you. I think it's quite needed once you get to Act 4 for tankiness. But yeah, that's my personal recommendation. So, once you have these nodes here, these nodes here, these nodes here, you've got your your Charge Staff running, and you have all these nodes up here with the Monk First Ascendancy. You want to start pathing down to the bottom over here. And the reason why is because, 1, you want this Mana Leech node. So you want to try and focus getting Mana Leech on your gear. So I have Leech on my ring and Leech on my gloves. And this means that I don't have to care about mana, which is just annoying. I just don't want to deal with mana, right? So look for either like double Leech on rings or Leech on gloves, or just try and get Leech. And if you can't get Leech here, for the time being, you can put Leech into your Tempest Spell, and that's what I would recommend. So replace like Heft, a heavy swing with Leech. Once you have some Leech on your on your gear, you want to try and grab Walker of the Winds so that you don't really have to worry about mana, and this is like a nice quality of life. Also, since you're pathing down here, you also want to first focus before you go to Walker of the Winds, unless you already have Leech ready. You want to grab these damage pierce nodes. These will give you a giga amount of damage, and these nodes over here are also relatively decent, assuming that you have this node here and you can shock the mob with Charge Staff, right? You want to have Charge Staff to apply shock, and then I'm the Thunder to make the shock ground, and then you want to go down and grab these extra elements to make sure they actually affect your damage. Okay, so right now, your skill tree is just none of these crit nodes, right? So the next thing you want to do is, once you path over to here, you have all this stuff, you have all this increased damage, you start branching into these crit nodes here, or these defensive nodes first, sorry, and then these crit nodes. So True Strike, whatever, just grab crit chance, lots of crit chance here. We want as much crit chance as we can to try and get our crit up a little bit. But eventually, we have to use our ES on our gear to kind of boost our crit to levels that will allow it to hit close to 100%. So over here, for example, this node here is very strong, but I'm still like getting there, right? I'm not there yet. And eventually I'll wrap back down and grab this node here, and I'll skip out on this one here. This one I think it's the same thing, but it doesn't really matter anyways, right? So first, focus on getting to Hollow Palm. And then as soon as you click Hollow Palm, focus on grabbing these nearby increased attack damage nodes. This one here, this one here, this one here. And then after that, when you get close to Charge Staff, you just grab some of the points at the beginning, right? And then when you get close to First Ascendancy, right here, you want to grab Resonance, Charge Staff, Combat Frenzy, and then you want to path up here to grab these 2 increased damage nodes. And then you want to path down here and grab the Penetration and these 3 particular here. These ones you can grab early if you wish. And then after that, you want to go over here to solve your mana, and then you want to start grabbing defenses over here. You grab this little defensive, which is very efficient up here, and then you do all the crit nodes. Crit, 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 and crit over here. Hopefully that explains how you progress your skill tree. I know we don't have POB, otherwise I'll just put it like 1 by 1 in POB, but for the time being, that's what we'll have to do. Okay, so I went over skills, gear, and passive tree. I think that more or less covers it for the gear. I'm going to now swap over to some VODs I have, and I'll show you some of the kills. Okay, so I'm going to hop over to desktop. Hopefully that works. Okay, So, just going to open up these one by one, and we will go through some of the clips. So right here, you can see that I actually grabbed this ice one. You want to flip this around in hindsight, but you can look at my tree. Originally I was taking here. You don't want to take that. Just grab like here, 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 and then go down here for the cold res, and path through. Grab the shocked one. Eventually I swap it off. The reason why is because you're doing ice damage already, so you want to do lightning as well, so that you can actually kill the enemy. You can see right here, I've got 2 skills: ice strike, bell, and I'm just slowly clicking skill trees, whatever. Oh, my gear as well. I think I did hover over my gear very quickly. I'll just try and show you what my gear is. My tooltip DPS, it says 2.2k, and I have martial, primal, and cold infusion. Do I have my gear? Oh yeah, right here I do. So I have, the only thing that matters is I have +1 melee skill gems on my gloves. Everything else is just evasion and energy shield. Okay, so we'll just have a look at the boss. So this one's really simple because it's only 2 buttons. You just spam ice strike, and then when you have bell, you press bell and you spam ice strike. This was before I kind of optimized the other skills to have make like a combo playstyle to kind of push the damage a bit further. See, damage is like kind of like not the greatest, right? I'll just skip through slowly. Hopefully this kind of makes sense. And then over here, it's just like standard. You put bell down. When you freeze the boss like here, you just sit there, bell, punch, 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 punch. Make sure you're hitting the bell and the enemy when you're doing this. So you can see here, my mouse is aiming here, my bell is here, and the enemy's on top of me, etc., 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 and he dies. So this is pretty slow. The reason why it's slow is because one, I didn't have any extra, like I have so many extra slots, right? But it's just kind of just like how it goes. You have to kind of scale first. So you see my gear is like not the best. I have 1 plus 1 there, and everything else is just garbage. And I have 2000 tooltip DPS, but it's generally fine. It's slow, but it's fine. Here's another example. So that's the end of Act 2. This is the skeleton boss. You can see my 1.8. I have Tempest Burn, Herald of Ice, 3 gems. Exactly the same setup. I don't think I swapped my gear, but this will just give you a bit of context over the DPS. So it's just standard ice strike, dodge attacks, bells up, place bell, ice strike, and bell. Like damage is like fine, right? You can see the kill was around 30 seconds. Boss gets frozen. You see he has shock on him, and that's because I decided to swap over to that other ascendancy node, and I have 30 rage from my bell, giving me rage on hit because I have a rage socket into it, and that's kind of just how you go. So rage is very important. It's 30% more damage, so please make sure that you have rage in your bell, otherwise your damage will be less. On level 24 is when I actually swapped because I started with the quarterstaff, but I recommend you just rush it because it was really effective. But my tooltip DPS was 900, and my skill tree, which I showed you in like a second. Where was it? Back here. Right here. You can see that I have increased damage, hollow palm, increased damage, right? That's all I care about. You can also grab this mana node right here if you want, in case. So yeah, this was when I just swapped. This was the first boss. I would say damage is pretty good. Oops, sorry, a bit of a cut there. But DPS is pretty good, and the boss dies pretty quick. I'll skip ahead a little bit more. We go to Act 3. I'll just pick the final boss since I have a lot of recordings here, but final boss is probably just easier. This is Doriani, and you can see that I have Unbound Avatar on, which is the Ascendancy node. But I also have Charge Staff and Mantra and Bell. So my Ice Strike DPS is 3.6. My gear is literally the same, except I think my chest piece has more evasion, and my melee skill gems are the same. And you can see here, I've grabbed the increased attack speed, I've grabbed some mana, I've grabbed some life on kill, I've grabbed a little bit of random stuff. I've also grabbed resonance because I use Charge Staff now, right, with Combat Frenzy. And I'm pathing up to go for the elemental damage nodes, these ones up here. And you can see I also flipped my ascendancy around. I'm also using the lightning one instead of the cold one to get shock on the boss consistently. So I just note quickly again, please don't grab this thing here. Instead, path downwards and grab the cold resistance penetration instead. So don't grab these 5 nodes here, go down here instead, which I pointed out earlier when I was looking at the skill tree. Okay. So my evasion 600, my ES 42. So 672 evasion and 42. Remember, evasion scales. It's not accurate, but it's like evasion on gear, basically. You can think about it like that. And my tooltip DPS, which I showed before, is 3.6k, and Bell is 600. Okay, so I'll just show you. Damage is like kind of whatever. Very squishy, remember. Be very careful about boss attacks. You know, you have to play like, it's POE2, remember? So dodging boss attacks, you see that beam there. I put my Bell down, I dash out of the beam, go back in, hit him, try and get good uptime. As soon as he freezes, which he wills in second, I pop my unbound avatar. So you can see that here. Mantra, Bell, unbound avatar. I'll just show you that again. This is your combo, Mantra. So he's frozen, damage phase, unbound avatar, Mantra, Bell. Look, unbound avatar, Mantra, Bell. I look at it, right? And then beat his ass. He's phasing, right? So the damage you do is like pretty giga damage in your DPS window. And he's phasing, so I pop my charge staff to turn my power charges into charge staff in seconds. You see right there, they get popped late. And then, very standard, have to dodge, have to play ethically. Just try and get good uptime on icestrike when you can. Build up 8 and 4. Once it's built up, Mantra, Bell. See, Mantra, Bell down. Hit the Bell and the target at the same time. Rinse and repeat, dodge attacks, etc. Mantra, Bell's back up. Mantra and Bell, place it again. Rinse and repeat, he's frozen. So Mantra, Bell, hit. Mantra, Bell, hit, etc. And eventually he will die. And you can see I'm constantly checking my power charges to make sure my uptime is fine. And you have to dodge some boss attacks. So this is just like standard boss attack stuff. So I'm just trying to hit him a little bit, just every now and then. Doesn't really matter not to get killed. And then when Mantra and Bell come back up, obviously I'm going to Mantra and Bell. So right here in a second, I think I Mantra and Bell. See, Mantra, Bell, and then etc. Make sure you don't click your auto attack, like your icestrike before you Mantra. Sorry, after you Mantra, otherwise it will get the buff and you want it to be on your Bell. Because you're constantly hitting your Bell to reproc the damage. And it's just standard dodging boss attacks. It's not one-shotting, it's not like super unethical. And that's because I didn't really understand the setup. And I had some, I was just kind of learning a hollow palm, right? So now in hindsight, I would be using those other skills like frozen Locus and stuff to try and help me push my damage even further. Okay, that's Act 3. Video is getting a little bit long, so I will just quickly show you some of the bosses in Act 4. I'm not sure how far people have played, so I don't really want to give too many spoilers. But let me just have a look. This one's been shown in the trailer, I think. I think this one was not really that good to watch, though. Let me... This one? Okay, this is the Sanctum boss. This is in Act 4. The Sanctum boss floor 2. You can see that... So... I'll just show you Mantra and Bell. Just keep an eye out. I'll press Q and E in a second. Like when I have a good uptime. These bosses are sometimes annoying. You kind of have to play very carefully. And you have to actually play pretty ethically. You can't just like one-shot the boss. So whenever one's frozen, I roll, I Mantra Bell, and then I hit the Bell and the target. And then I rinse and repeat. But you can see that here I'm using Shattering Palm and I'm using Frozen Locus. And I'm using the Frost Bomb as well to try and get my maximum damage, which is the entire setup I showed at the beginning of the video. And this is the damage. And this is, I would say this is pretty like average, like bad damage. Eventually I optimize the skill tree even more, but the damage is pretty good when they're frozen and it still like chunks them pretty hard. You see they have like 100k HP, right? So this is like, this is basically, I think the end of Act 4. Actually, no, sorry. This is the interludes. It's not Act 4. I know this one's Act 4, so. Oh, actually, no, this Blind Beast is probably good, sorry. Oops, I will just reload that. Act 4 Blind Beast. Sorry, that was interlude. Sorry, I was just fucking confused. All right, Blind Beast here. Stack Mantra, stack Bell, Mantra Bell. Continue, press charge staff whenever I have some uptime. He's about to get frozen, so get ready to Mantra Bell again. See, Mantra Bell, and then hit, rinse and repeat. Mantra Bell again, hit. When Bell's off again, Mantra Bell again, rinse and repeat. Is dodge some boss attacks, it's doing some stuff. And then back to holding left click and Mantra Bell, etc, etc. Very simple bossing playstyle. As long as you know the boss attacks and you can dodge. Build can be a bit squishy, which is why I started clicking some of those defensive nodes you saw. And that's why I recommended you click them earlier, because it'll just make it easier for you to do this. But you see, basically, you're playing around, spamming Mantra and Bell and hitting the boss, pressing charge staff to keep uptime. And just making sure that you try and get the most out of your DPS windows, which is freeze instant. Okay, I'm going to skip the rest of these because it's quite a lot. I don't want to show too many spoilers. But I'll show this guy. This is a new boss. Don't want to show any new bosses because people might get spoiled. I think it's also a new boss. Is there one that's like more average? Sorry, it's just taking a bit of time. Oh, this guy. It's the Blind Beast. The same beast, but like a new, like a reskin version. So, see? I'll just show you my first thing as I Frostbomb. So Frostbomb right here, bam. To get the exposure, then I'm clicking, I backflip. So right here, I Shattering Palm and backflip. Shattering Palm is useless, but I backflip to get the Frozen Locus down. And then I come in and smack it. And I just hit the boss. And then Mantra and Bell's up. You watch me in a second. I'll press Mantra and Bell right there. And then I press Charge Staff to pop a little bit of damage. The Charge Staff with Bell helps a lot because every time you attack, it will hit twice on the Bell. And then Mantra and Bell's up again. I'm just dodging boss attacks. And then I'm going to take a little bit of damage, do a roll, use my nearly die. Mantra was not up. So I just went press Bell, hit Bell. And then manage my Charge Staff up. And press Locus every now and then, and he's dead. So overall, build does a decently large amount of damage. I will just show, I think I have like, what are these clips? I think is this another clip that I can show? Is this spoilery? I think this one's okay. I'm just gonna skip to the end. Oh, yep, this one's decent. This is the Blackjaw boss from Act 3, reskinned in the gold version. So Frostbomb down, icestrike with Charge Staff, and then Mantra Bell, Frostbomb down, then I hear Mantra Bell, and then rinse and repeat, Frozen Locus every now and then. You see me backflip, you see the damage is really giga when it's frozen, so you just push damage, and then just dodge boss attacks, Mantra Bell, and then repeat, and eventually the boss will die, and just don't get hit, you know, just playing POE2. But yeah, I also have one more clear example. Where was it? I think it was Act 4. The example. So this is how I cleared before Frozen Locus, but I recommend you chuck in Frozen Locus into this combo. And what you're doing is you are Shattering Palm the entire pack. So this was Shattering Palm now, right? And then icestrike, and then click them. But if you have Frozen Locus, you want to Shattering Palm and Frozen Locus, and then icestrike to kill the Frozen Locus. And for rares, you want to pop your Bell and your Mantra, and make sure you keep your charge stuff uptime whenever you have 3 power charges, which is just like every whatever seconds. Because you'll be getting power charges for free from Combat Frenzy. So here, see my Shattering Palm, and then bam, it like spreads because the way icestrike works. And same thing, just keep going. And I was running out of mana, so I eventually swapped to using the Mana Leech node. But I think there's also a really good Abyss example if I can find it. Just so many videos and so many clips. I think it was like this one here. No. Now, please excuse. Is this one? No, that's a later boss. I think it's this one. Oh, yep, this is the one. This was an Abyss example. This is when I have Frozen Locus. You can see on my mouse 4. So what I'll do is I'll Shattering Palm, Frozen Locus, and then I strike it. And then if I need it, I'll Mantra Bell on the rares. And I'll make sure my Charge Staff has good uptime. So you can see here, Shattering Palm right there, and then Frozen Locus, and then bam, the clear just goes like crazy because the Shattering Palm and the Locus. Shattering Palm, Frozen Locus, I strike it. And then over here, Shattering Palm, Frozen Locus, and then just spamming Icestrike and just clearing the rest of the map with Herald of Ice and Shattering Palm. And it just pops the Abyss. So overall clear is pretty good. Frozen Locus helps a lot, so I would highly recommend you use it. Again, just Shattering Palm and Frozen Locus, and then hitting the Frozen Locus and the mob if you can, and it will pop and clear the rest of the screen. So overall, pretty solid from what I've seen so far. So I think that mostly wraps it up for the video. I went through all the gear and kind of the progression and what skills you should be using. What's next for me? I will be playing this until I have enough spirit to play Flicker Strike, which is 180 spirit or so, 190 with quality. And then I will be trying to use good ES gear to cap my crit on my base crit, as well as with the nodes on the skill tree, sorry. So like these nodes here and these nodes here, and there's like some nodes here and some nodes up here. So the idea is I want to use these crit nodes to cap my crit. Once my crit is capped for Flicker Strike, I'm going to swap over to Flicker Strike and start playing Flicker Strike instead of Ice Strike and Locus and Shattering Palm stuff. But yeah, if you're interested in seeing how to transition over to Flicker Strike, feel free to sub, feel free to watch the next videos. I'll put out some content when I'm free. And currently I'm just going to be playing Ice Strike until I get a good enough chess piece and I get my Ascendancy to click the Spirit node here to give me enough Spirit to swap over to Flicker Strike. And once that's all sorted, I'll be doing like gold to respec and then Flicker Striking and playing Flicker Strike Hollow Palm Invoker. But yeah, thanks for watching. A very long video. I just wanted to make sure I covered everything. But hope your league starts went well. Hope the servers were okay for you. And so far, my first impressions is this league is really fun. I'm also very tired, so I'm going to go off to bed. Thanks for watching. Bye.